Welcome, summoners, to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below.
Okay, looks like we are into the picks and bans. We see Orianna, Cho'Gath, Nunu, Malphite, Blitzcrank, and Evelynn banned out. We had the Azubu Frost picking up Shen right off the bat. And I do think Shen is a great choice as a first pick. He really does a good job of just staying safe and keeping your team very safe, as he can really capitalize on mistakes made by your team, and he can really turn around a situation that looks bad. For the SK side, we do see Olaf, a fairly standard choice. He's basically been picked in every single game. He's a very solid laner. He does basically everything incredibly well, and his team fight's amazing. We also have Amumu picked up. His ultimate and damage are incredibly powerful, and he's a very good jungler. We've seen him several times come out in this tournament from basically everyone, as people have really liked him in the jungle. Looks like Azubu Frost has picked up Misfortune, really wanting that ultimate. Misfortune's been a very staple of this tournament as well, as her bullet time ultimate does really high damage, as she's capable of moving around the map fairly well and applying a lot of early game pressure and really zoning out teams sometimes in the early game. Looks like we do have Twisted Fate picked up as well, looking for Azubu Frost to mimic their brethren squad, as we have seen that comp come out, Shen and Twisted Fate, allowing them to move around the map so incredibly well. It's a very dominant strategy, and it's just such a good idea, as you can really dominate that mid game and push it towards a very strong late game. It's also incredibly powerful because you can really punish any mistakes that SK makes this game. Looks like we do have Nidalee picked up, and then Ezreal. Looks like Nidalee will likely be mid, as we do already see an Olaf who's likely to go top, and a Amumu in the jungle. Could also be a support Nidalee, but I do think it's going to be a mid lane Nidalee. Not sure how well it does against Twisted Fate, as I believe Twisted Fate can just sit back and play fairly safe, not being in any real threat from Nidalee. Those spears can easily be dodged with his fairly long range. Problem is, once it gets to team fights, and it looks like SK is looking to just poke down with Nidalee, then go in with Amumu Olaf and just apply a ton of damage. Ezreal also picked up a very safe pick. He doesn't have any real weaknesses, and he's just an overall really great champion to pick up. I don't think he's ever going to go away from the competitive scene, just because of the fact he's so incredibly safe. Looks like I'm actually kind of surprised Kha'zix was left open, and looks like Kha'zix will be the pick. He could easily go top or mid, depending upon how they want to lane the Twisted Fate. I think he will likely go top or even jungle, but usually he's first pick, first ban, but he kind of managed to sneak through this time. And Sona's also picked up, meaning that Azubu Frost is looking to really dominate that early game. Sona Misfortune is incredibly powerful. And as the last pick, we do see a Zyra support coming out, meaning that SK does want to have a fairly nice layer of teams fight support. Okay, looks like we are into the game. And I do believe the power of Amumu and Zyra is going to be incredibly useful if we can get SK to actually get into the teamfight phase. Looks like Zyra is going to throw a ward over, but it will not spot out Azubu, though they will now be spotted, which means Amumu is going to lose his blue buff, but he should be able to counter jungle in time. Doesn't look like we are going to see any lane shenanigans, as we saw a lot of mid lanes rotating the entire time in day one of this IEM event. And it looks like there is a pause. Not sure what the pause is for. Okay, looks like the pause is done, and we are back into the game, as Azubu Frost does kind of rotate around the map, and they are going to go back to their own side, but they're going to find their blue buff will be taken, and it looks like SK is going to retreat, as they really just aren't sure what Azubu Frost is doing at this point. SK is in a good spot though, as they do have a lot of early game vision, as we do see most of the warlords being thrown out. And we do see, what was that, 3-4 wards, which is pretty impressive. And with this strategy, it's actually going to help Azubu Frost, as it means Amumu is not going to get his blue buff right off the bat. And with him not picking up a blue buff immediately, it means he's going to have a bit of a harder time in the jungle. I don't think it's going to be too terribly bad, but it's just going to be a little different, as most Amumus like to get that blue buff as fast as possible and really abuse the fact that his AoE wave clear, or AoE jungle clear, is incredibly powerful. Looks like we do have a bunch of crystalline flasks coming out from the SK side as Azubu Frost decides to go with more potions and early game starting items, and I do think SK is going to have an advantage if this comes to team fights, because that Amumu ultimate and Zyra ultimate put together are going to be an absolute pain in the rear to deal with, along with Nidalee spears coming out to really protect their team. But the problem is, I don't think Azubu Frost actually won a team fight at all, unless they can get a significant advantage, as they have Kha'zix, who's an amazing assassin. They have the roam power of Shen and Twisted Fate. Looks like Sona will be going down for first blood, as the Zyra roots do land, and that is the power of Zyra. She can really catch people and punish them for the mistakes in lane. And that root just really crushed Sona there. She's so incredibly soft at level 1 and 2 before she gets her defensive auras, that she's just a little too squishy for this lane at the moment. And she really needed to stay back until hitting level 2. Because it looks like Misfortune will be caught out and taken very low. And she will likely have to base off this, as she does not bring any potions herself. And without any potions, she is in a lot of trouble. And Azubu Frost is just looking a little bit off this game, as that bottom lane is going incredibly poorly for them, and it's not going to get any better. Amumu coming in. Will he actually be able to land something on Twisted Fate? I'm not sure, but I don't think it matters too much. And Twisted Fate was taken fairly low throughout all of that. Though Shen is sitting in the area if he wants to counter jungle Amumu here. Amumu does land the bandage toss, but Shen with a nice taunt right on time, as Amumu is in a little bit of trouble. But I don't think anything too bad will happen, though Twisted Fate is going to be forced to burn most of his potions after that engagement, which is a fairly big win for SK Gaming, as it means Twisted Fate might have to go back a little bit sooner. Kha'zix up top waiting to just pounce on this Olaf, and he's doing a great job of actually zoning Olaf out of the lane. And if Kha'zix can actually keep Olaf from doing his thing, it's going to be a great win. And it looks like he will be dove and taken very low. Will he actually go down to the ignite? Yes, he will. And that's something that Azubu Frost can really count on, is if they can get this Kha'zix built up, he can snowball to incredible heights. And he is already sitting at the highest CS in the game. He's just picked up a kill. And despite burning through most of his potions, he is ahead of Olaf, and that kill is going to make up for all those extra potions he bought early game. Looks like Misfortune and Sona are coming back just a little bit, as they just had a terrible early game. But it hasn't hurt them a whole lot, as there was real no capitalization on it by SK, other than the fact they picked up that one kill, though the kill went to Zyra, not exactly who you want it for, but still a pretty good person to have it, as she can build up some nice ability power early with things like Zhonya's and the other support ability power items, and really do some good damage come mid game. But it looks like Azubu has actually figured out how to play this bottom lane a bit better, because SK was playing ultra aggressive with Zyra, but now they're backing up, going in only when they need to, and not trying to play the poke game like they were the first level, which got them caught out. And if they can just back up, kind of play it safe, they'll be just fine down bottom, and can live until mid game, where they can throw off that Sona ultimate and Misfortune ultimates together for a whole lot of damage. So I could do have a Brutalizer up on the Kha'zix, and Olaf is getting zoned out really hard. This is the first time I've seen Olaf really get just punished, as most of the time he's one of the safest laners, if not a lane bully, almost. As his undertow will really punish people for going up and trying to last hit, and his reckless swing deals a ridiculous amount of damage early game. And I don't think either side is really looking for a fight at this point in time, as Shen is going to try and come up top, though I'm not sure how well diving this Olaf will be, unless they can get up him before he hits 6. If he hits 6, he'll be perfectly safe. But no, it looks like Shen is going to be rotating mid lane to pick up all that farm, as Twisted Fate has now hit 6 and is looking to go down bottom for a gank. I think SK has to realize Twisted Fate is 6 and that he's going to be on the prowl. Especially the fact Shen is mid lane. The question is, will Shen hit 6 from all of this? It looks like Amumu is up top, and we will be able to jump in onto Kha'zix. Amumu is level 6, so his Bandage Toss ultimate combo is ready. Twisted Fate deciding not to actually go down bottom. The question is, will Amumu actually get something done? Amumu misses the Bandage Toss, but his ultimate is there. Kha'zix pops his ultimate and leaps away. A fairly decent use of the Amumu gank, as that burns several key ultimates, and it means Olaf's going to be very safe in laning for just a little bit. It looks like we do have Twisted Fate back in the mid lane, as he is just going to continue farming and not burn his ultimate. He has picked up the Kaga's lucky pick in addition to the Doran's ring. We do see a Spirit Sona up on Amumu, while we do have Nidalee picking up the Tear of the Goddess. Kha'zix has a Brutalizer, Magic's Razor up on the Shen, Misfortune picking up a Crystalline Flask, in addition to a large number of potions. Ezreal going for basically the same thing, as you do have Zyra picking up that Sightstone with her early First Blood money. And we have Olaf with just a Ruby Crystal, and he is not looking too good this game. As I said a moment ago, this is the first time we've seen Olaf really shut down. The problem is Kha'zix usually doesn't make it past the pick and ban phase, and if he does, it's really rare to see him left open that long, as he's usually first pick right away. Twisted Fate ultimate does come out, and it does go on to Zyra as they are taken very low, but Twisted Fate is going to go down. No, he is not actually going to go down. I thought he was, but here comes Nidalee with a teleport. We do have Zyra already down, but Misfortune will pay with it for her life, but taking Ezreal out in the process. And that's a double kill for Misfortune, exactly what they wanted to see. Great use of the double global ultimates as Shen and Twisted Fate both went down bottom. Problem is, leaves SK open to do Dragon if they want to, but I don't think they have the damage at this point. And Azubu Frost does take a nice 1,000 gold lead here. And the bigger problem is Olaf's not going to be tanky enough to fight this game. As we see most Olafs getting real tanky by this point, usually picking up things like a Giant's Belt almost at a Warmongs at 10 minutes, or even a Sunfire Cape as we've seen Sun go. But this one is really far behind, as Kha'zix almost doubled up his CS, and Kha'zix is going to have the burst power to pick someone off in a team fight if this continues to go like it is, as his damage is just ridiculous over a short period of time. This looks like we have Misfortune going for a Brutalizer, likely a Bloodthirster next, as we have a Vampiric Scepter and Doran's Blade out. Twisted Fate picking up the Null Magic Mantle, looking for just a bit of magic resistance, as we do have Ezreal going for Berserker's Greaves and that Vampiric Scepter. Boots some mobility up in Amumu as he's looking to really gank heavily. Olaf has picked up a Giant's Belt now, definitely going for Warmongs. And looks like we are going to see Kha'zix just backing away. We are going to have Twisted Fate picking up race here, and I think Twisted Fate's going to look to gank again pretty soon, the second his ultimate's up. They really don't want to waste any time with Twisted Fate ganking, as that's really where Azubu Frost's strategy comes in, is they're going to have to play this mid game incredibly well and snowball it. As we see Kha'zix picking up a BF sword and a Giant's Belt onto Shen. They are really looking to dominate this mid game, and if they can dominate this mid game, the team fight power of SK is not going to get online, as they do have the double big team fight ultimates coming out of Zyra and Amumu, in addition to Olaf's really ability to run in and just punish your AD carry or your AP carry, depending upon what you need. Looks like Sona's in a bit of trouble as the ultimate from Ezreal does fly, and Zyra's ultimate as well, but she is not dead. And as long as she's alive, she is in good shape, because Sona is just so incredibly soft early game. But if she doesn't go down, she can just heal herself back up. That's really the advantage Sona does have in lane. As long as she's alive and has mana, which she has bought in the Crystalline Flask and additional mana regeneration items, she is able to just sustain herself. Looks like we do have Nidalee picking up a needlessly large rod. And we are going to see Kha'zix waiting up here for Olaf to push out and really trying to apply some damage. Twisted Fate with an early Twin Shadows. Interesting choice on him, as that will allow him to initiate from a pretty long distance once his ultimate is used, or even hunt people down after his ultimate is used in a team fight, or even hunt him down to use the ultimate, because it does give vision for a fairly long range, and it gives his team a bit more CC, as that slow could be very useful. Looks like bullet time is practiced. Twisted Fate does come bottom, picking off the support once again. Decent choice there, but I'm not sure it's going to be worth it unless they can get something off the back end. But they are going to push this tower down. I don't see any way this tower is going to live for too long unless Amumu decides to pop his ultimate. As we do have the ultimate of Sona still up, which can be used to soft counter this Amumu ultimate in lane. As Amumu ultimate does not prevent you from using abilities, but the big thing here is Nidalee's going to push mid lane. And then that's really what stopped Azubu from pushing, is Nidalee was going to take mid tower, and mid tower is slightly more important than bottom tower at this point, as it would really prevent Twisted Fate from roaming around. And even that deep ward has not done a very good job of Nidalee of actually keeping Twisted Fate in check. Twisted Fate's had several good ganks this game, picking off multiple kills, and they really just don't have an answer for him at this point. He's done a great job of roaming around the map and applying pressure. In addition to, his farm has not been hampered at all by Nidalee. Despite the fact Nidalee is up decently in CS, it's not a whole lot considering the kills Twisted Fate has caused already. We do see Olaf going back and taking race as Zyra does pop her ultimate down bottom, but the ultimate not doing a whole lot of damage. Mostly being used just to harass at this point. And it looks like we are going to just have a stalemate for a little bit. I think Azubu Frost is just waiting for their next round of ultimates to come up before they actually do anything significant. Twisted Fate ultimate will be up fairly soon, as he does wisely ward and see that Amumu is in the brush right there. Shen ultimate is up as well, and he could be able to counter gank or even gank with Twisted Fate again, as it might be used up top as Amumu is coming in and is not spotted out. I think they're almost waiting for it, as it looks like Kha'zix will be use his own ultimate, as Amumu ultimate does fly. Will Shen ultimate get there in time? No, he decides not to use it, as Kha'zix does get taken down. And I'm kind of surprised Shen didn't ultimate there just to try and save Kha'zix. But no, it actually looks like it's on cooldown, my bad. I thought it was. It's just really hard to see that line, but Azubu is going to make the best of it, as they are going to pick up Dragon here with no real contention, as we do see Ezreal and Zyra back at base. And it looks like we are going to have the top lane being pushed fairly hard by Olaf and Amumu. And I think they might actually try and take it. No, they decide to back up. Looks like Shen is going to be heading in mid, as mid lane is the first tower taken in the game by Nidalee, doing a great job of just continually pushing and applying pressure to Twisted Fate. We do have Olaf picking up a Sunfire Cape. Likely the Spirit of the Ancient Golem picked up on Amumu, or another Sunfire Cape, as these giant belt items have really been a key staple of this tournament. Brutalizer and Bloodthirster picked up onto Misfortune, as we do see Kage's lucky pick Philosopher's Stone and Sight Stone up onto Sona. Sunfire Cape likely to be coming out pretty soon onto Shen, as we are going to have a Lich Bane likely on Twisted Fate with that Amplifying Tome. We do have the workings of a Bloodthirster for Ezreal, and we do have the Ruby Sight Stone up onto Zyra. And it looks like we are going to have Twisted Fate picking up the blue buff and likely to gank pretty soon, as Shen ultimate is now up. And we are going to just see both teams kind of trading it off farm for the moment. I don't think any ganks can happen unless it's going to come from the global presence of Azubu Frost. They've really used this ultimate pretty well. So I'm still kind of curious about the Twin Shadows pick from the mid lane of Azubu. Olaf is going to do a lot of damage to Kha'zix, and it looks like Kha'zix is just not able to sustain in lane anymore. He had a good early game of poking Olaf down, but that one kill really turned that lane around. Despite the fact that Kha'zix is equal in kills and is up a big amount of CS, he just can't deal with Olaf's consistent damage, as he doesn't have the lifesteal at the moment. He really needs that Bloodthirster to pick up that lifesteal and sustain himself against Olaf's naturally high sustain and tank ability. Looks like you are going to have Amumu trying to come down here for a gank, but I don't think he's going to be able to get in. That top-bottom brush has been really contested the entire game, as we do have a death cap coming out on Nidalee. And we are going to see Azubu push in. I'm not sure it's the wisest idea, as Amumu is sitting here. Ultimate does go down from Sona, but Ezreal does pop it in flash. Shen coming down as well, though it looks like they are just going to use this to take the tower, as Ezreal is not in any condition to fight at the moment. Though there is a taunt by Shen. Will Shen actually be able to get in there? No, he is not. Beautiful route by Zyra the second she gets in. As we do see Misfortune flash forward trying to land the double up to kill Ezreal off. But they do take the tower for it, even up the towers at 1 apiece. We do see a 3,000 gold lead for Azubu Frost. And 3,000 gold from Azubu Frost is not that big a lead at this point in time, as we do see several key members of SK getting farm up, as Nidalee is way ahead of everyone else in terms of farm. And it's going to be a real menace this game poking around. Kha'zix will be able to take this top tower, as we do see both teams just kind of backing up at this point, really taking their time shopping. As we do see the Bloodthirster finally completed on Ezreal, and likely an Iceborne Gauntlets at some point, as Shen will be next up for him. And it looks like we are going to have Sona and Misfortune coming down mid, looking to push down this mid tower. And Misfortune's gotten pretty big this game, and she should be able to do a whole lot in a team fight. Problem is, we do see Zyra come in, and Zyra's in a lot of trouble, but she should be okay from that ignite. But she will be pushed out of this mid lane, and it will allow Azubu to actually push, as Nidalee or Amumu don't have very good wave clear. They do have a lot of good damage once they actually get into a fight. But with that bandage toss miss, it means Amumu is not going to be able to get in there, though Ezreal has decided to come up from bottom lane. Kha'zix is here, and Kha'zix is looking to do some major damage. Shen ultimate is still down for a few moments, but as soon as that is back up, they could easily take a team fight. And it looks like SK does realize that, and they are going to look to push themselves, as they do have the full 5-man there, while Shen is still off on the other side of the map. Misfortune does take a nice hit from the spear, and is taken down fairly low. Those spears are going to be a real terror in these siege fights, and that's exactly what SK wants. They want to siege up with Nidalee and Ezreal poking, and the second you try to initiate, you have the Amumu ult, Zyra ult, and Olaf just running through your entire team. And that is, looks like Twisted Fate might actually go for a Deathfire Grasp, as he has picked up the needlessly large rod instead of going for that early Sheen, as it would have been a pretty decent choice. We have everyone grouping up mid lane, as Sona does initiate right on Nidalee as the exhaust times come out, and Nidalee gets absolutely destroyed. And that's what Kha'zix can do to your team if he actually gets in there. Looks like Twin Shadows is out, and it does hit, as Twisted Fate does jump up. Amumu ultimate hits 4, but not a whole lot happens, as there is no follow-up, and it is basically running away for SK Gaming. Beautiful initiation by Sona there. That flash ultimate really devastating, as it meant Nidalee got destroyed. And this is what Kha'zix does, and is why Kha'zix has basically been banned out this entire tournament. His single target burst on an isolated target is ridiculous. And that's 2 towers down for Azubu Frost, and what was once a 3,000 gold lead is almost 7,000 at this point, as they've doubled that up and are looking to steal blue buff here, which means Nidalee is not going to be in good shape to sit around and poke the entire time. Though Nidalee might pick up a kill on Kha'zix. Kha'zix is very low in mana, and even with the flash from Nidalee, it is just enough, though Nidalee took a lot of return damage. Looks like we do have Kha'zix picking up a last whisper, as Dragon will be taken down by SK Gaming. The only Zyra in the area, I don't think they're too worried, though the ultimate from Ezreal does steal it away. And it looks like Misfortune is in a lot of trouble. Very good map presence by SK Gaming, as we do see Shen coming in here, and they are looking to take down Amumu, and Amumu will go down, as Misfortune will go down as well. Shen in a bit of trouble here, but I think he's tanky enough to just run away. And Sona is here. Will they actually be able to pick up Zyra? No, the heal does come out, and Sona will pick her up on the back end, just barely, as she did get a little bit of a heal there from Nidalee. It was not enough. And that is a pretty decent trade, 2 for 1, but they did lose Dragon in the process, and Top tower will be taken down by Olaf, slightly mitigating some of that damage just a moment ago, but it is still 5,000 gold lead for Azubu Frost, and they are looking in a really good position. They look very coordinated this game. They had a few mistakes down bottom early, but they were never punished enough for them, as we do see Misfortune coming out with a Black Cleaver. And yes, I said, weren't punished for those early mistakes down bottom. Ezreal, Zyra never really got a huge advantage out of that early first blood and pushing Misfortune back at level 2. The big problem has been top lane, as Kha'zix has basically gotten free farm this entire game and has really shut this Olaf down. Olaf has recovered fairly well, picking up a large amount of tanky items. But the problem is it's traded for Kha'zix farm, and Kha'zix farm is a little better. Looks like we do have Sona with an Oracle's looking to clear out wards and possibly start a Baron up. Or just vie for some good map position. As you do have Nidalee picking up Seraph's Embrace, meaning she is going to be actually able to survive these team fights just a little bit better. As if she gets caught again, she will have a 500 or so mana shield, or H point shield, excuse me. And we are going to have Azubu Frost just push up this mid lane for the moment. Twist of Fate could come in at any point as they do see Olaf top. And I do expect a fight to break out once Shen has his ultimate up, as his ultimate is not up at the moment. We do see, looks like Ezreal is going to clear bottom lane with his ultimate. And both teams just going to vie for position at the moment, pick up their buffs, and go back to farming. Until the globals are up for Azubu Frost, there's no reason for them to fight. But it looks like SK really wants to press the matter, as they do have a real good poke comp coming out of Nidalee and Ezreal. But Kha'zix is doing just a lot of damage, as he is really fed at this point and is looking to burst down anyone in his path. Looks like Misfortune does take a spear and takes about 40% of her health down without a single spear. Kha'zix sitting on the sidelines, just throwing out a bit of harassment, though Nidalee's heal is incredibly powerful against all that harassment. I do expect to see Kha'zix jumping over this wall at some point and trying to burst someone down. Second, we have the flash up by Sona. It is up, but ouch, those spears from Nidalee hurt, taking down Kha'zix at about 40% of his health. And it is just not what Azubu Frost wants to do. They can't afford to sit around and play poke with Nidalee, despite the fact Nidalee does not have blue buff. If she had blue buff, this might be a little bit of a better idea. But ouch, another spear onto Misfortune means she is not in good shape for this fight, and they might have to just give up this tower, as Twist of Fate is not in position. He just was a little too far out to ultimate, though he has pushed this top wave fairly nicely. Shen is going to do the same down bottom with that Sunfire Cape quickly pushing. In addition to the Madred's Razor, allows him to easily snowball a lane. And we do have a Zhonya's Hourglass up on a Twisted Fate. Sheen also picked up as well on him. And we are going to see both sides backing up. Looks like Baron might be attempted by Azubu as they do clear out the wards for it. And it looks like they are going to try and bait it out, as they do have complete ward coverage of this side of the map. And if they see Nidalee down bottom, that's an instant cue. Go do Baron as fast as you possibly can. Nidalee does have teleport if she wants to use it, but I don't see a real good way for her to at the moment, as they really need to poke on the SK side of things. As if they don't get someone fairly low before the fight begins, I'm not sure how well their team comp is going to work. But it looks like we are going to have Azubu vying for Baron, but not actually going to do it. They have a good chance to, but they don't recognize that Olaf and Zyra are back at base. Though Ezreal does fly across and scout it out, so they know no one is doing Baron for the moment. And both teams are just content to farm up, thinking they have the better late game. But if this goes ultra late, I do think SK has the better lineup. But Azubu Frost's gold lead has really been helpful, and the fact that they can split push so incredibly well with Twisted Fate and Shen means that they can make a SK have several bad team fights. Though Ezreal has picked up the Iceborne Gauntlet, which means he should be able to kite all day long and prevent some of that initiation power, as the slow is incredibly powerful. But the question is, will he get bursted down in a team fight? Looks like Twisted Fate's going to come on to Ezreal, but no, there is the Zyra root right on time to prevent Twisted Fate from flashing forward and picking him off. And with Twisted Fate ultimate down, SK can really make something happen. And I do think they're going to try. As without Twisted Fate ultimate, he can't split push, even though Shen can still split push himself. And I think if they can keep Nidalee occupied, it'd be a decent trade, but Nidalee does have teleport. So if she does try and teleport, Shen can always taunt, then pop his own ultimate. And have him in the fight while Nidalee won't be. But Nidalee is just going to jump on Shen, and there's nothing he can really do. He just doesn't have the damage to fight back, as his Warmongs is not up yet. If he had a Warmongs, he might be able to sustain that damage a bit better. And there we go, his Warmongs is now picked up, the first one of the game, as that has been a very prevalent item through this entire tournament. It gives so much damage. It looks like we do see the shield coming out, but it does not matter, as Nidalee just gets bursted down by this Kha'zix. And with Nidalee down, that's SK's cue to back up and play defensive. Looks like they are running through mid lane as Sona does come forward. She does not want to flash ultimate, as there's just not enough there. But I do think this is a very good opportunity for Azubu to push for Dragon. Without Nidalee's spears, they're missing a really big chunk of damage, as she has gone basically a pure offense build, though the Saracen Embrace giving her a very powerful shield as we saw a moment ago. But Azubu will not decide to go for Baron. They are just going to decide, hey, let's take Dragon, let's push out all these lanes, and then we can go try something. As I think SK was really wondering if they were going to go do Baron, but they decided not to. And I'm still kind of surprised they didn't. But they are going to just group up and likely continue that split push, picking up a lot more farm than SK during the split push, as they have had Twisted Fate clearing top and Shen pushing bottom. But it looks like SK doesn't really care for that, as they're just going to go group up as 5 and push mid lane and easily take down this tower if they so choose. As Twisted Fate ultimate is now back up, he can use it at any point, but the problem is the ignite and flash of Kha'zix has been used, so he won't be able to jump really far into these team fights. Sona roaming around the side, but I do believe she's spotted out by a ward. And Olaf is looking to just zone her out of these team fights so she can't get that initiation. Kha'zix does jump in with the Shen ultimate, and there's a nice taunt by Shen on a few. 4 hit by the Sona ultimate as Twisted Fate comes in from behind, keeping Zyra at bay, while Kha'zix is taken down by Ezreal, but Misfortune will be able to finish off Ezreal. And there goes Twisted Fate in the back lines, as that is a big win for SK, as they just had a little bit more damage. That fight, Misfortune never really got up there into it. And it looks like SK will be in good shot as Amumu does banish toss forward. Shen with a taunt, but he's taken fairly low. Amumu will be going down here in just a moment, but Shen is taken very low. Nidalee also taken low. Will Sona have the damage? She does get the slow, and Sona does get just enough damage to finish off Nidalee. And Azubu has really turned on this fight. This Sona pick doing a whole lot of damage. Taunt come out from Shen, and that is a dead Zyra, meaning a 4 for 1 or 4 for 2 exchange, and just barely done. But they did manage to pull it off on the Azubu side, really turning around that last team fight. The damage of Misfortune really helping secure that, in addition to Sona's naturally high damage. She picked off several kills in that team fight, and this Sona has really worked out for the Azubu side of things, as they will be pursuing Baron, and there is no real way to stop them. Ezreal will fly in a few moments to try and steal it, or at least check it out. But with the fact that there are no wards in there means Azubu Frost will get it for basically free, as the smite does come down almost enough from almost stolen by Ezreal, but the smite just a little too strong. And that fight was a huge win for Azubu Frost, as they are now up 10,000 gold. They do have Baron buff on every member of their team. And we are going to see Kha'zix building a bit more tanky, as he's likely going to pick up a Randuin's Omen here, so that he can survive in these team fights. And it really looked like SK was going to get the better of that team fight, as they had picked off 2 really important members of Azubu. But they just didn't have the damage to really finish anyone off without Ezreal. Ezreal's such a big source of damage for the SK side. It's pretty ridiculous, as Olaf doesn't have the damage at the moment. He needs a bit more health, and he doesn't have the cooldown reduction that he so desperately needs to continually apply those reckless swings. Nidalee is looking for like a Void Staff, or possibly tanking it up with that Rylai's Crystal Scepter. I think it will be a Void Staff, Though there is not a whole lot of magic resistance coming out of the Azubu Frost side, I don't think they're too worried about magic damage at this point. We are likely going to have a Last Whisper coming out on Ezreal in a moment. Aegis of the Legion picked up by Zyra. And we do have Warmonks finally completed on Olaf. Means he's going to be a real tanky monster this game. We do have Lichbane picked up by Twisted Fate. We are going to have an Aegis of the Legion picked up on Shen fairly soon. We do have the Kindle Gem in addition to the Shirley's Reverie picked up onto Sona, as we are going to see a split push happen here. And this is the kind of split push that Azubu can really punish SK for not having a team that can deal with it. This is what Azubu wants. Shen is going to have a decent time against Nidalee, as Shen is actually winning out on that trade, thanks to the fact he has so much health and can dodge spears. But as soon as he gets hit by a spear, it's really bad shape for Shen. The thing is, he does have Baron buff, so he's going to regenerate so fast, as he has Baron buff and Warmonks, and just a ridiculous amount of health. Misfortune has picked up a Last Whisper, and is looking to just shred armor this game, as there's not a whole lot of armor coming out of the SK side outside of those Sunfire capes, and a little bit from the Aegis of the Legion. But the big thing Azubu Frost is doing here is they're playing it safe, and they are just taking every single buff they can. Though they are spotted out by a ward here, I don't think SK really wants to take a fight at the moment, especially not with Baron buff. And there we go with the Void Staff onto Nidalee, as we are going to see both sides just back up. But Twisted Fate, Sona, and Misfortune are said, hey, we're going to go push, as we do have Kha'zix split pushing a little bit, and Shen continuing to split push down bottom. Question is, will they actually go in on this? It looks like not. They're just going to throw out some poke, as they do have Kha'zix split pushing and Shen split pushing. And I don't think either team really wants to take a fight at the moment, as Azubu is looking to just push and take what they can for free, and really snowball this lead, as they picked up about 2,000 gold additional from this. Twisted Fate does pop his ultimate and comes down bottom onto Nidalee, as Nidalee takes a lot of damage. Shen with a flash taunt, but Nidalee taunts as well. And Twisted Fate will flash forward, and Nidalee's in a lot of trouble, and Nidalee does go down. This Nidalee pick, not doing a whole lot for SK. It's been really great while they sieged, and made a few real good plays in the early game. But she's just not had the opportunity to really poke people. She's been forced to split push all game, and she's really the only one who can deal with this Shen. And her teleport allows her to get into team fights, but it's just not been enough, as this global lineup from Azubu Frost has really punished the fact that there is no good split pusher coming out of SK. If this were an AD Nidalee, it would have done a lot better, but they did not realize how incredibly powerful this Shen Twisted Fate combo is. We saw it come out yesterday by their, I guess, sister team or brother team, however you want to call it, and it worked incredibly well, and it's working incredibly well here. It is just such a good team comp, where you can really pressure every single place on the map, and it's hard to initiate on, as you do have Sona, who can throw her ultimate off and just run if anything happens. Looks like we do have Nidalee respawning, but the bottom tower will go down for basically free, though Nidalee is now top looking to poke, as that spear does do a ridiculous amount of damage to Kha'zix, and it's going to do damage to every single person that's hit. Zyra does flash forward trying to land a root, but the spear lands onto Misfortune, though the slow from Kha'zix should be enough, as Shirley's Reverie is popped, in addition to the Sona speed boost. Looks like Amumu is trying to get in there onto Misfortune, but Misfortune passive does proc. It means she's going to be just a little bit too fast, as Twisted Fate Destiny is popped up just to look where everyone is and force them back. Good use of the ultimate there by Twisted Fate, as he is going to go take Dragon, or just split push down bottom. But it looks like SK is done playing defenses. They're really going to go push this tower. They realize Misfortune is not in good shape, and this tower is very low. Looks like Misfortune is caught off to the side, and is going to be a real big target for those Nidalee spears. But with Shen and Sona here, who can initiate from a real long distance, they are going to back up. Baron buff has expired, though Baron will be respawning fairly soon. We do see the Runic Bulwark picked up onto Shen, meaning he is not going to be killed at any point anytime soon. He is just so ridiculously tanky. you can almost pick up a damage item at this point and basically become a real monster this game. If he hasn't already been, considering the fact he's been in 13 of his team's 15 kills. And he's done just an impressive job this game of really applying pressure with his split push and coming in at just the right moments with his ultimate. Looks like we are going to have Shen just doing a good bit of damage. Up top, split pushing. Though it looks like Dragon will be the target from Azubu Frost, as they could easily push an inhibitor down at this point. Though SK is going to group up as 5. As we would immediately see Azubu recalling the base, not wanting to be caught out and losing an inhibitor for free. Though they are going to take some damage on it. As long as it doesn't go down, they are in good shape. But it might actually, due to Nidalee's high ability power and attack speed. Shen popping his ultimate as they do go in. Nice. Sona ultimate hits 4. And there is a few quick kills. And this means Azubu is in prime position. The Source of Fate does jump up. And that is going to finish everyone off. Though Ezreal is still alive, I don't think Ezreal can defend at any point here. Kha'zix is going to leap over. And he should be able to finish him off there with an ace. As Azubu Frost just absolutely dominates that fight off a beautiful Sona ultimate and Misfortune ultimate combo. And that could almost be game this point, as Shen can tank up these towers all game long, and they have enough damage from Misfortune and Twisted Fate to really burn down towers and inhibitors. Still at least 20 seconds on every single one in this game, and Azubu is looking to end it here. No reason not to. Zyra is going to be the only threat up, and I don't think Zyra is going to be up in time to do enough to really punish Azubu. Amumu might get up there as well, but he does not have the tankiness or damage. And that is good game Azubu Frost off that back of a really powerful team comp.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.